Lisa quickly ran through the village. She hurried to tell her father that he urgently needs to go to the post office. There he received some important letters. That's why the postwoman said, unfortunately, did he go on his own? I can't bring a letter today. Her work day has already ended. If Mr. Richardson is really waiting for some important letter, then let him go to the post office, the more he can. There's still an hour left before the post office closes. Dad, they sent you a letter in the mail for and said so that you quickly run. Well, it means that my request has been answered. What is the application? I now ran to the post office and then I'll tell you everything. Fine, I will wait for you at home. You while the dishes are all my Perry. Soon mother work will be back. Fine, Daddy play overtook from washing dishes. Mother worked as a school teacher, just like her father. Dad always come home from work early, because he taught computer science. My mother was an elementary school teacher. Apart from her lessons had constant extensions. Literally a month ago Lisa turned 18. More a couple of months and 11th grade will be over. She dreamed of going to the city and starting to study as a designer. Because of that they had constant conflicts with their parents. Counted what to choose a profession, which will definitely come in handy in life. Lisa slept and saw, how does she work as a designer? By half an hour father returned. He had a very sad face. What had happened, Pope? Yes, I left a request wanted, so that the school would send us at least a few new computers. On these can no longer be trained. How do you know? Cancelled on us. Why they refused, they didn't explain. Why denied? Probably consider that these prehistoric computers will last more than 1 year. It's clear. I was walking from school and the stones jumped out. Speaks, rather father, to send us letters. State importance. She would be of national importance, if there was a positive answer. More than an hour later the lady returned. She always came back very tired. Mantis, you will have dinner, let's, daughter, sing a little. Lisa made my mother dinner and put it in front of her nose. What new home, you better not ask. Ots denied new computers, now he's all on edge, digging in his garage. I told them, what is her school, who needs more computers? Ma'am, and my graduation is coming soon, started from afar Lisa. Yes, remember your graduation. We will pay, let's go next week. I am not about that. Why don't you want to accept that I want to study to be a designer, daughter, because that profession is not so in demand. We want to be with our father, so that's it. Got a good job. This won't be a good job if she won't. I like it so no one likes their work. People still work. Conversation finished. I won't come near me with that again. All I do is solve my problems with my father. But thank you, mother, I thought you will have some support. I wanted something, so that I crawl on my knees in front of my father and beg, so that he gives the go-ahead to your training. It is not clear where. Yes, no one in this house understands me at all. Young woman ran to her room and lay down on the bed. She was sure that if he goes to study as a designer, it will work and have fun. I really wanted to believe it. Lisa knew her father well. If he put something in his head, it would be just like that. Mother always listened to him, and here Lisa tried to go against the system. Sometimes she thinks that her own father does not love her at all and does not put her interests in anything. She felt that is gradually moving away from him, because they couldn't talk. Dad, I immediately searched for my daughter in a nutshell. Today there will be a disco in their village, and Lisa will go there too. Not so long ago, her father finally began to let her go, but just recently she was sitting at home and felt like a real little child. Piers always laughed alone, they say, that climbing is still being watched like a little, although in reality it was. I really wanted to go to the city as soon as possible. To escape from parental care, who didn't understand at all that she is already an adult, and she also needs personal space. In the evening this day Lisa put on a beautiful dress, put on makeup and went to her friend. Then they went to the club together. Today there were a lot of people there. Strange, there are usually few to be seen here. And it was spring outside, which means summer residents began to appear at the dachas, among which were even young people. Lisa noticed that some nice guy was looking at her. Earlier she never saw him. He looked at her. Everything was unresolved. Lisa, did you see, the way he looks at you? Saw, what's the point of this? He's some indecisive. But wait, not yet evening, maybe he will fit. Maybe he surrender, which at the beginning of the village I saw, there were a lot of cars, maybe, a lot of people came, maybe. When Lisa went out on the porch to cool off a bit, this young man followed her. Hello, beauty, my name is Reuben. Hello, Melissa, name is Lisa. Well, let's go dancing. Well, don't wait, I left to cool down a bit. It's too stuffy in there. How are you at all our local discotheques? Well, certainly, I saw more fun. Although, on the other side, there is nothing to do in your village anyway, let at least you have some entertainment. And you came to someone's cottage? Well, yes, my friend is here. Well, his parents, it's clear. I always live here. Yes, if I knew that such beautiful girls live here, I would have come back that year. After they danced together in a club, and at the end of the day Reuben suggested that Lisa to home. All they talked merrily along the way. Reuben talked about that, how to live in the city, talked about that, how he was in the army and what he is doing now. To her it was so nice to listen to this young man. In general, I really missed communicating with normal people in the village. She only had friends for centuries, and the rest were kinda weird, forever immersed in their problems. He walked her to the very gate, and looked attentively into the eyes of you don't leave me number the phone well why not climb for quickly dictated his phone number, and went home. Today in the evening, lying on your bed, she was thinking about this guy. For some reason, everything did not go out of her head. To her it was interesting to remember his smile, remember that, what he didn't talk about, and she even caught herself thinking, maybe she liked him, and at a glance. With these thoughts the young girl fell asleep. On the next day they met again Santiago and began to walk around the village. Lisa is a little shy about it, that she is walking with a little-known guy in the village. Young woman represented what's at home, having arranged for her father. Dad always said so she wouldn't let him in front of others. He was sure that meeting with visitors is a disgrace. They will leave, Elisa stay here, will mourn and wait, that we will return for her. That will not happen. They went with Santiago back and forth through the village. At night it was slowly falling down the street. Lisa never thought that now she will see her father. They along with Santiago walked towards the house, and her father was walking towards them. Fast home, he commanded. Dad, what's happened? Why did you talk to me like that? He told you, so that if you do not carry with these visitors, you can expect anything from them. I don't want anything bad for your daughter, and I'm not talking to you. Glared at Reuben. Father grabbed Lisa by the hand and dragged home, leaving Rubina standing in the middle of the street. Boy, for the first time in my life, I faced such an incomprehensible situation. After that, as the father brought Lisa home, she ran to her room and collapsed on the bed. Young woman wept bitterly, and so it was a shame in front of this guy, that her father still treats her like a little child. Dad, when will you stop humiliating me like that? I don't shame you. I am saving that, so that he does not powder your head. Thank you, I will remember this lesson for a long time. Now Lisa was sure, what Reuben, I will never call for a walk again. So it happened. By 2 days she found out that Reuben left this village. Girls, it was so embarrassing, that she kept texting him, where she apologized for her father. Boy answered briefly, that you are not offended, he doesn't care at all. Then there was graduation and admission to the Institute of Foreign Languages, and Lisa did not want to study there until the last, but her parents convinced her. Summer flew by very fast, and at the end of August Elizabeth went to study in the city. Exactly at that moment I called Reuben again and offered to meet. Young woman was surprised that after so much time he did not forget her. Now they freely walked around the city, sat in cafes and talked on various topics. Lisa is not at all afraid. What does the father know about it? On the weekend the girl came to her native village and helped her parents. Certainly the same, she reconciled with her dad a long time ago. Lisa never told anyone about it, that in the city she meets with Reuben. Young woman understood long ago that this young man really likes Every once in a while, a hedgehog from the village would hurry to the city, and I wanted to see Reuben faster. For her, he became the most perfect guy in the world. They started dating in secret. Reuben lived alone, and therefore Lisa often stayed with him overnight. Young woman didn't understand, how will this whole story end, but I definitely liked being needed by this person. One day, waking up in the morning in his apartment, she discovered what Rubina did next. Lisa rubbed her sleepy eyes and began to look around. She listened to every whisper, and understood that he was not in the apartment. "Reuben, are you home?" she asked in silence. Answer not received. Then the girl went to the shower and began to dress. All of a sudden the key in the lock turned, and Reuben appeared on the threshold. In his hands was a huge bouquet of flowers and a small box. "Lisa, and I can't hide anymore, I love you so much. You will be my wife." From these words Lisa even staggered. She never expected that after quite a bit of time the young man would propose to her. "Reuben, it's so unexpected. Just answer, according to you or not, certainly agree you know how much I love you. But the question remains open, how do we tell my parents about our relationship? I don't worry about it, I'll take over everything." The girl smiled and kissed her future husband. She was so happy that she had him, and she could safely rely on him. On the next day the young people went to their parents. Lisa. All road Lisa was worried about, how will father react to this? In her mind she replayed the intended outcome of their conversation. Quicker total, Daddy won't even listen to anything, just you put them outside, and all of a sudden everything works out. Young woman didn't know what will happen now, but held tight, stayed by the hand. I hoped for the best. Mother and Dad met them with disgruntled faces, though. Did not understand, why did they come, and was in complete shock from that, what Lisa to see it again. "Mr. Richardson, we want to get married." How a decent person decided to ask you for the hand of your daughter. This what, some kind of jokey, she just came to town, already married? Not to be this. Even if you don't dream, we love each other, and despite your decision, let's get married anyway. On the yard is the 21st century, and your opinion will not play a role here at all, calmly said Reuben. And look, you are too smart. Lisa's father narrowed his eyes. Let's not fight. Now sit down at the table and decide everything peacefully. Reuben took a bottle out of the bag, which was brought to him by friends from Georgia. I propose sitting and talking for a while. No women, purely in a male company. Cold, let's try. Mom or four. Quickly set up a small table, and they went to another room. They sat and talked, leaving Rubina Eggs alone. Gone about an hour, and a satisfied father entered the room. Cold, Lisa, see, what Reuben normal guy. If I want to marry him, then exit. He could barely stand, and Mom immediately dragged him into the bedroom, to put to sleep. Reuben said, "Yes, it doesn't matter. The main thing, that now we will be together, ain't it? Comin' into the room, lie down, I made a bed for you. Today you won't leave here anyway." On the next day, the young people returned to the city and began to prepare for the wedding. Parents Lisa helped, then they could. You dads had small reserves of money, which he handed to the young for a future wedding. Reuben spent all day at work, trying to make as much money as possible, to have a wedding at the highest level. Lisa still went to school, sometimes caught myself thinking, what, maybe, she rushes things. However say about it what are the she was very afraid. For a short time of communication with him, she understood that he is a very hot-tempered and jealous person. However, his jealousy and even liked. Time went very fast, and then the wedding took place. Lisa was very happy, in a beautiful dress. Mom was stood in the registry office and wept softly. As they might think that the daughter will soon get married, and for them she was still a child. After weddings Lisa finally moved to Reuben. Now her life was not like that at all. She was a real wife, who cooked and waited for her husband. Will work, and it suited me. However, she soon noticed that Reuben didn't want to go anywhere. Girls, it was very boring, and one day she decided to talk about it with her husband. Reuben, how did we get married? We don't go anywhere. What is stupid? Do not understand, I'm tired at work. to me actually needs a lot of work to provide for two. Why do you talk to me like that? You know, as soon as I finish my studies, I'll go to work right away. Young woman was surprised. Talking to her husband, you still have 2 years to study, and you need to live now. Sorry, what did I ask you? In. And you forgive me, something I broke. Reuben, I understand, you're just tired, maybe, that's right. I'm going to bed early today. Young woman, I was expecting a completely different answer. She thought, what will he say? I'm really tired of constantly working, and need to loosen up a bit. However, he always chose. Young women went to school and sometimes just didn't want to go home. At home, I was waiting for Reuben, which was so boring and uninteresting. How did she not notice this before? One day she complained to her parents that her husband does not give her time at all. All he spends his free time on TV or on the computer. Even if you don't dare complain, I warned you several times, but you still wanted to marry him. I never liked, father said calmly. Indeed, just before the wedding, her father approached Lisa, said that there is still time to think, that later she might just regret that she married him. Then in Lisa there was love in her eyes she didn't notice at all, so now it was useless to complain. One day Lisa changed dramatically. Then were the last days of training. They together with friends decided to celebrate it in a cafe, and today Lisa lingered until late at night. When the girl came home, it stopped Rabina very angry. Lesbian, where I told you that my friends and I will go to a cafe. I went home from work and there is nothing to eat at home. It's okay, the guy asked with some reproach. Well, why nothing there in the fridge? Yes, why should I eat yesterday's food? How many times did I repeat to you, so that you cook fresh food for me every day? You know, I think it's time to stop your walks with strange friends. What kind of statement is this to me? Seems, according to these rules, I already lived with my parents and now moved out of them. And that's just the point, something moved out of them, and now you are my property. Don't talk nonsense. You think I'm kidding. Now you will live by my rules. Let's get my phone here. Lisa furrowed her brows. She thought, what are we kidding, therefore did not attach any importance to his words. Young woman just went to the kitchen, but Maria grabbed her by the hand. Telephone gives me here, Reuben, that seriously. The young man snatched her bag and took out his phone, who put it in his pocket, and went into the room for I stood in the middle of the hallway in complete shock. She never expected that the guy would take the phone by force. Now you will only call with my permission and no calls, friends. Sometimes you can call your parents, but it's not very often. Maine always says that you are fine. And if you think that life with parents is bad, then I assure you, it will be worse for you. Very funny, smiled Lisa and went to make tea. She did not believe until the end, what now Reuben speaks in all seriousness. I didn't want to believe it. For he was always a cheerful and kind guy. However, from that day on life really changed. Now, when Reuben went to work, he locked me with a key to the phone I carried with me. Sometimes he gave her the phone just so that she calls her parents and God forbid, blurted something out. Tio's such a family life. Lisa definitely is not ready. Reuben never was like this, or did she just not know him well? Young woman doing housework all day long, cleaned and soap, everything was left, came and just lay down on the sofa. Lisa looked at her husband with horror, afraid to ask again. If she hurt him to the core, then the scandal was not to be avoided. In the house was forbidden topic and her friends and about, that she would really like to get the phone back. Situation completely out of control, when in the evening Lisa I really wanted to call my mom and talk. Reuben had no phone debt, because I was in a hurry somewhere, he just closed the door and left for and collapsed onto the bed, crying and thinking about it. It's time for her to leave. However, how to leave the apartment, when you don't have keys and you live on the 7th floor was, certainly, shouting, for the neighbors to hear. What if they don't hear it? Reuben was scary to imagine what would happen then. And lately he has become not himself. He was constantly nervous, swearing at Lisa for any reason. She lived in his apartment as a maid, who was supposed to cook and clean up after him. On that day Reuben returned home very late, and Lisa immediately ran up to him with questions. Reuben, it's not funny at all. Why didn't you let me call my mommy? How long will this all go on? You really annoy me. The young man was tipsy and clearly not in the mood for such a conversation. Lisa decided not to back down and walked around Nolo with her questions. All continued until then, by Reuben I didn't push. Such she didn't really expect. I think that we need a divorce. Do not even think about it, if you didn't just take it for yourself. Your friend told me that you really want to get rid of parental custody. Yes, I saw it myself, when your father is at the haircut, so be grateful. If I didn't, I would sit in my collective farm. Young woman was in complete shock. She didn't understand where to turn and how to go out into the street. Every once, when Reuben went to bed, he put his phone under his pillow, and he had a very good dream. Honestly speaking, Lisa even became afraid of him. But everything changed when Reuben got sick with a cold. He lay in bed and loudly, he had a very high temperature. Reuben, I need to go to the pharmacy for medicines or at least call an ambulance. Nothing I need to do, I can handle myself. I won't let you go anywhere, you abnormal, this high temperature won't last long. Cold, call an ambulance, just with me and give me the phone right away. Lisa shook her head in surprise and began to call for an ambulance. Severity, I stood around Reuben. After she went to the kitchen and wrote a note, which I decided to give to the paramedic. She hoped that they would save her, and she would be able to form the Power Brother. Doctors arrived very quickly, and the young girl immediately went to examine the patient. Reuben lay all pale, he really fell apart. She gave him an injection and listened. But 2 days and he's on the mend. Nothing serious, common cold, she smiled. Thank you to you, Dr. Thank you. Why did you come so fast? Lisa said. More water, let's drink raspberry tea, helps a lot. Mainly, understand that now the body needs as much liquid as possible. Yes, fine, I understood everything. After the paramedic examined Reuben, the woman was about to leave. Lisa overtook her already on the very threshold and, unnoticed by her husband, put a small note in her hand, and then closed the door. I looked into the girl's eyes and realized that a lot depends on this note. But she didn't say anything, not to attract the attention of Reuben, who kept a close eye on them. Lying on the couch, I saw what to Reuben. It gets really scary, especially when strangers are in the house. The young paramedic went out into the entrance and unclenched his hand, and then unfolded the note. Just fainted. Note there were only a few words, but those words were enough to call the police. Lisa wrote about what's in this apartment. I hold by force. Wrote that the husband often uses his arms and legs, and all those words were true. Only filter came out of the hallway, so immediately called the police to this address. Lisa freed, and she gathered her things in front of the police and ran out into the street. Reuben wanted to overtake, but his illness had crippled him, and he just couldn't get out of bed. The girls began to write a statement on him, but just said, "What is filing for divorce?" Today early in the morning, when the sun just started to rise, I got on the bus and went to my native village. She knew that her parents would accept and forgive her. Arriving there, she told me about what happened to her in this apartment. Dad, I could not believe the words and said that she really wants to deal with her ex-husband. Yes, let him live in peace. I already filed for divorce, everything is fine. Need to was at least somehow hinted on the phone. She called us and told that we're doing well. He made me say that. About, it's all over. Now everything will be alright, and we will never let you hurt. Parents, you forgive me, please, that I didn't listen to you. No, it's you forgive me. I didn't even notice how he gradually began to go too far. You really have grown up, you should have had your own life. Sorry me, please, I will never interfere in your business again. But I don't hold a grudge against you. That, what has already passed. Father hugged his daughter and kissed her temple. To him it was so embarrassing, what Lisa wanted a different life, and for this even married a man who knows so little. Blame this balance. Now Lisa, everything is fine. She works as a translator. By the way, recently, she realized that her parents were right. This profession is really interesting, brings good money. I recently started dating a guy from my college, and seems they all work out. But only now, Lisa, not in a hurry to get married. Better get to know as much as possible first, and only then go down the aisle with him. This Lisa already understood.